We have Staff Kennedy and Mick Gilmore are going to come up and I think say a few words, but also have some kind of presentation. Could I ask Helen to come forward, please?
Helen, on behalf of the Republican movement in Canada and in Ireland, in honour of Michael's dedication to the Republican movement, would you accept this plaque on our behalf? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. It's a great honour to receive this plaque, and Michael would have been more honoured than I think I can make you understand. So, hello. Gosh, it does make a difference, doesn't it? Okay. Do I have to start again? No. Thank you. So I would like to start actually by simply saying thank you all so very, very much for coming. Thank you very, very much for being here. It's extraordinary to see such a range of people from so many different aspects of Michael's life. And it's also, so there's that part of it, but it's also really extremely comforting to have so many people here who who are not really part of Michael's life so much as they're part of mine. So there are people who are here because they recognize my loss, right? So for that, I would like to say thank you. I would like very much to thank the speakers. Unfortunately, where's Alan McConnell? Unfortunately, I missed Alan's talk entirely because I was outside talking to people who, astonishingly, were not able to get in. It's a strange sort of idea. But I do think that everybody has touched on areas of Michael's life that I no longer need to expand on. So for that, I'm very grateful, right? So that it makes my task very much easier to know that people have talked about those things. I guess what I'd like to talk about is David Jacobs actually sort of pretty much had my speech down pat, right? This is quite all right. It's quite all right. But this is the way I would think about Michael. So I've met Michael in 1975, so David's known him for way longer than I have. And there are other people here who have known him for longer than I have. But I met him in 1975. I was in Ireland. I was walking, which is also known as hitchhiking, or I was hitchhiking, also known as walking. And at that time in Ireland, you could just walk, and somebody would pull over and say, "Where are you going? Do you need a lift?" Right? So, and it was the most astonishing, safe thing to do, despite the fact that there were all sorts of troubles, right, in Ireland at the time. So I was a very naive 28, 29-year-old from Australia. I thought I knew something about the world, not. I thought I knew something. I thought I could go to Belfast and figure out what that was about. It's not. I can't. Are you all right? Yeah. Okay. I can't imagine now how naive I must have seemed to people I met, and I cannot explain to you how generous people were. So anyway, I was then in this little place called Bandon in County Cork, and I'm waiting for the bank to open, and it was raining and hot, and raining and hot, and it was miserable. And this fella came along and said, lady, because I have a backpack, do you want a lift? So all I can say to you now is that if somebody offers you a lift in a small country town in Ireland, do not accept it, because then you will end up in Hamilton forever. So as Anthony has already said, I met Michael in Bandon, County Cork, and I went back to Dublin and moved in with him and lived with him for a while, and then went back to Australia, and then I came to Canada. And the things that I know about Michael were that he was, as David has said, a very generous person and a very kind person with a fierce tongue, but this is good, right? This is good. He was a man of, I think, of considerable principle. He had a deep, deep commitment to the cause of Irish freedom, and so for that, the recognition of that, which is the plaque, I thank you. I think the things that he was proudest of in his lifetime was that. Right? The things that he did. He was involved in many, many things. He was involved in trade union protests. He was involved in student activism, as David has said. He organized, he worked for the NDP. He was a campaign manager. He did all sorts of things. But he was also a man who read hugely, read so widely. David, I think, said he was a Renaissance man, and I think that that's probably true. He read widely, and he wrote all the time. So you've already heard that he wrote the centenary celebration for the 1913 Dublin lockout and the 1916 Easter Rising. So he produced those sorts of things, but I don't know if David will remember this. He also, when he was at McMaster, organized a little thing called Scene by Scene, and this was a small theater troupe that went to the United States and tripped around in universities and presented plays. So he organized that. He had a great, great capacity for organization. He had a great capacity for bringing people together and for developing collaborative bonds with people. He also had a great capacity, as some people will know, to break those bonds. If he thought that somebody was not being principled about seeking justice for people. So all his politics were based in that. He considered himself, and I considered him, a communist. He was a Stalinist, right? Lots of people will find that quite unsettling. But it's a position that it's a political and ideological position that allows you to be staunch, right? And that's what I see in him. He could cook. David already said that. See what I mean? David took my talk. Okay, so he could cook. He could not clean, I have to tell you. Cleaning is not part of it. That's what the dog was for, exactly. He loved his dogs, absolutely adored his dogs, and they loved him back. He read hugely, he wrote all the time, he cooked, he walked, he loved his dogs, he loved to smoke. Oh my God, he loved to smoke. And he liked to drink now and then. You know, people have probably noticed that as well. He loved his family, even though he was here and they were far away. He loved his family, and he particularly, sorry, Anthony, loved their children. Right? He liked children, and he would often spend, not just in Ireland, but here he would spend a lot of time with kids. There's a story in the room that he bought from Ireland Doc Martens for a 3-year-old, right? Her first dogs. So Michael would do that, right? Like that sort of thing. I remember pulling him out from underneath a table at a banquet or a conference, a banqueting sort of thing. Tables with long white, tablecloths down on the floor like this. And it's like, where is Michael? He's under there with the kids, right? And he'd be under the table playing with children. I think it was their curiosity that he liked. He liked that they would ask unpalatable and unpredictable sorts of questions. And he found that just, extremely intriguing, and I think he also found it very challenging, and I think most of us do. Right? Children ask those questions and you go, ooh, I don't know about that. But Michael would generally try and work his way through it and sometimes be completely unreasonable about it. So, what else can I say? I don't know that I have anything else to say. I loved him dearly. I still do. I anticipate that I will for a long time yet. Oh, I know what I have to say. He was absolutely and totally, I don't even want to say supportive, that's not the right word, but I will use it, about the development of midwifery in Ontario. He was absolutely and totally supportive of my behaviors, right? Like totally supportive of me. If that's what I wanted to do and if that's what was interesting to me, then that's certainly what he wanted me to do, and that's what was interesting then to him. So in that way too, he was just enormously generous and very, very kind. And on that note, I think I'm going to come to an end. Right? Thank you very much.